Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Brand Power Analysis. Today I have on.
Alex Bachman. Uh, Played football at Wake Forest University, bounced around a few NFL teams, most recently with the New York Giants.
Oh, that's great to hear. Why don't you explain to everyone a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to where you are today?
I grew up in Thousand Oaks, California. Um, if you don't know where that is, it's between LA and Santa Barbara. That little it was kind of a bubble, to be honest. I was raised there because my dad was trying to find a safe environment to raise a family, and call me right now. I declined that. So he wanted to find a safe environment to raise his family, and it had the lowest crime rate in around. So it was kind of a little bit of a bubble, though, kind of a privileged neighborhood, but super grateful to grow up there. And been in California majority of my life until I went to school in North Carolina at Wake Forest University, where I played football for 4 years, 4 great seasons. Um, but a lot of great relationships there. They're actually undefeated right now, so shout out to the Deeks. Um, and then from there, just got an opportunity with the Los Angeles Rams. Had an injury though, and it's part of the game, and so I did an injury sum with them, and then got signed with the New York Giants and was there for the last 2 years. Recently got released by them, so honestly, just waiting for another opportunity right now. In the meantime, though, I recently moved to Texas, Austin, Texas, forming a lot of relationships here, getting to know different people, and just building my network each day, and just really enjoying myself out here. And waiting for the next opportunity though. Can't I'm missing football a little bit, so trying to get back to that as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, I know it's a grind, man. And did you end up buying a house in Texas?
I did.
Yeah,
Yep.
housing
Lake.
market is how that's the best place to buy, man. For anyone listening right now, if you want to buy a house, you go to Texas.
Yeah.
Or I'm in Arizona, so our housing market's doing pretty well right now itself. So although
Yep. Everyone's flocking from
yeah,
California.
everyone's from Canada and California, man. It's kind of great. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your transition? I mean, you're still looking for a team. What other kind of things are you doing right now, and what kind of difficulties have you had with the transitions in the game?
Every day is different. It's it can be stressful, nerve wracking, but it can also be a little bit of an adventure because I really don't know what the next 24 hours has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's a little bit foreign to most people what what I've done in terms of just kind of grabbing all my stuff and going to a completely different state where I only know I count the people on my hand when I first got here how many people I knew. Um, but kind of just going out of my way and trying to really figure life out. And like I said, just taking it day by day. I've been forming relationships and just saying yes to a lot of things, putting myself out there, getting to meet people, getting invitations to different stuff, and saying yes to that, meeting somebody else, and then just making a lot of different connections. Because I think at the end of the day, um, and we'll talk about this probably later, but you're a brand everywhere you go. You represent yourself. And that last name, I mean, that I'm used to having it on the back of my jersey. I represent that name everywhere I go. That's who I am. My name. So, um, and a big part of it is, um, and when you meet somebody, the first 10 seconds that you meet somebody, people will already have preconceived notions about you and stuff, and they find out a lot about you in those first 10 seconds. So I always want to make a good first impression, no matter who it is, because you never know like who you're going to meet and how that relationship is going to form and what it's going to do for your future, And so I always just try to have contagious attitude with every person I come across, an uplifting spirit. And, I think my story is unique. I've been through a lot, but, God's been there from the very beginning for me. And he continues to pave the path for me, and I continue to trust it. And I think my story can be an inspiration and motivation to a lot of different people. But I think also my history as a student athlete gives me a leg up on a lot of the people in the workforce who weren't involved in athletics as much. Just the things I've learned, the character that's developed in me, and so I'm taking that now to try and, the thing is I can't really commit to any upscale job right now because, my phone could ring any second and then I'm back in the NFL. And I think, those upscale jobs take a lot more commitment. So right now I'm just trying to find something in the afternoons because I have to stay in shape, work out, make sure I'm taking care of my body, taking all those right steps. In the meantime, I still have to pay my bills on my house that I just bought. Um, so just doing a lot of different things, balancing really, making a checklist on my whiteboard every single day of things I need to get done. Uh, and it's not always smooth either. I mean, I've had a couple speeding tickets the last couple weeks that I got to pay that I did not see coming at all, going to church too quickly. But so that's just other stuff that I got to learn as I'm adulting. I got my own house now. I got to take care of the house. The sprinkler system was down. I got to figure that out, go in my backyard, fix a sprinkler. It's different stuff that, I'm 25 years old. I've never had to do that before. So I'm really just finding out a lot about myself right now, in many different phases of my life, in terms of athletically, spiritually, just being an adult and just getting to know people at the same time and just trying to build my life here on my own.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of grit and a lot of determination. And I feel like a lot of athletes have that kind of that motivation to it's very similar. You're learning a lot of stuff now that is good mindset as you not just move further in your career as an athlete, but also as you create your lifestyle and the jobs that you get, the career path or the business directions that you take. I mean, just the fact that you go on the whiteboard every morning and write down your to-do list is a big accomplishment because a lot of people don't do that. It reminds me of me and sitting down every morning and writing the business to-dos down.
Well, you got to have structure. I think that's a huge thing. You got to have a routine. And I think the most successful athletes I surround myself with and gotten to know, had the privilege of knowing in the last few years, they all have a solid routine and they stick to it. And for me, I'm not the most organized guy growing up. I wasn't. And so I need to have that type of structure in my life where I just feel like, I'm all over the place and I don't get anything done at all. Um, but yeah, like just talking about being a student athlete, like I try to have a relentless attitude in everything I do. It's all about work ethic, and like I said, things aren't gonna be smooth, and that's what football is. You get knocked in the teeth, every play, and you got to come right back full speed the next one. Um, and but that's really what life is in general.
Yeah.
Um, as you grow older, you learn the lows get lower, but the highs get higher as well. I think from my experience, but problems get bigger when you're a kid. The biggest problem that you have is some girl at school don't like you back, or you have to take a test that next day. That's your biggest worry, you know. And then as you get older, those you have to pay your bills. Like those problems get worse. So I think just having the mindset that I'm gonna give everything I got to whatever's in front of me. Is everything is all, I've always tried to work at, the Bible talks about whatever you do, work it out with all your heart as if working for the Lord, not for man. That's what I try and do in everything. And so I feel like if I give everything I got to what's in front of me, if it doesn't work out, then I can live with myself regardless. And if it does work out, then great. But I'll have no regrets at the end of it, for me. And so right now, obviously, that's usually been football for me. Um, but I try and apply that to everything in even small conversation. Like I'm trying to just have that contagious attitude, but also have a serving attitude as well. I think I have a unique skill set, um, and abilities that God's provided to me, but I also want to share that with other people.
Mhm.
So like when I was talking about forming relationships, I really want to get involved in this athletic community out here. I'm in Austin, Texas. We got some great football out here. There's kids that were just like me growing up, um, who, people sacrifice their time and energy for me and um, involve themselves in my life. And without them, I wouldn't have gotten to go as far as I went in football. And so I'm trying to do the same thing and give back to the communities here. And just teach them the things I've learned. I think I know a lot. I've been around the game a lot, but not just that, but just life in general. I've a lot of great life stories that I've taken from and grown from, and I'm hoping to be able to give that knowledge back to the next high school kid that's looking to accomplish his dreams.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. And you're kind of somewhat like, you're kind of answering some of the questions that we're kind of leading into. And a part of that, um, you kind of mentioned the, how every day, if bad things happen, you still look at it as growth towards your future outcomes. And I think that's really important. I mean, I think we're all victims of, I think we're all victims of having those downer days. I mean, in business, it happens quite a bit. As a player, it happens quite a bit. And I think that that's what you're trying to do to help give them guidance, and understanding some of that more mindset type information, I think is really useful. And so with what you're saying there, what are kind of your goals outside the game? Like, what are you doing besides trying to uh, keep pushing yourself and getting back into playing in the game?
Um, I'm just trying to figure that out. I mean, I don't think it's an easy stage for anyone, to be honest, because you go week after week, you can see on the television guys are pretty much doing a job that you feel like you're very capable of doing,
Hmm.
and also getting paid pretty well for it too. And so it starts to open your eyes a little bit, and it can be a little bit scary to think about what will my life be like without football. I've been doing it for 18 years, and it's something I feel like is one of my best tools. That's one of the things I'm best at, and so now I'm really having to figure things out for myself and find out a little bit about myself each day, what I'm good at, what I love doing outside of the game, and um, what are ways that I can really, because at the end of the day, I think one of the big reasons why I wanted to play ball was because I enjoyed sports, and I learned from a young age that if I worked hard at it, it would give me a platform, which from there I could inspire others and make a difference. I feel like the bigger the platform, the bigger difference I can make. And so at the end of the day, like, I think we're called to serve as human beings. We're called to I think just get involved and contribute to society and in the most positive ways that we can. And so that's what I'm really trying to do. And so um, it's tough because I can't fully commit everything to that when I still have ball. So really, I'm just figuring out a little bit about myself. But I do know that my experiences are unique. That 99% of people don't have the experiences that I have, and I'm just really trying to find a way to use that to improve the people around me. And so, like I said, coaching, doing private training 101 is something that I can do. Um, I'm interested in numbers. I'm interested in stock. My dad's a financial advisor. Like, there's many different outlets that I could take with this. And I think the thing is, I don't have to make a decision right now on it.
Hmm.
I it's not something I need to rush. Really, I can take my time with it, find out more about myself before I fully commit to something that and get stuck in something that I really in a place where I really don't want to be. Um, I'm taking little things and little bits and pieces from other people that are older and wiser than me that have been through it before. Reaching out to other teammates who have been through it before. And sorry, I got a little bit of a cold. So, um, but but yeah, really just trying to grow my community because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to reach people. Just getting to know different people, getting involved in different groups. Like I said earlier, saying yes to things, saying yes to invitations,
Hmm.
and kind of just putting my name out there and pretty much letting just God take over and guide me. And like I said, it's not always easy. The doubt creeps in. We want to control things. Like we try to control everything, every situation as much as we can. At the end of the day, we don't have really control of anything. You learn that it's really fast in the football business that you could play as well as you possibly can, and you still might not keep your job. It's just how the business works. And So I'm trying to really control less and less and just let life flow and see what comes of it. And so far, I mean, I've only been here 2 months. I've met just a lot of cool people and people that have offered me jobs that I can't take yet. And but it's cool to know that I'll have those opportunities. Um, but yeah, I think I have a good social media presence that I'm putting out there and trying to help people through that as well. Just through multiple outlets. You know, you don't have to focus on just one thing and be good at one thing. Like I feel like I've always believed in put yourself out there and trying different things. Um, I'm a super competitive person and I've always wanted to be great at everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit well with me if I'm not good at something. If I'm not good at something, then I'm a focus on that one thing until I am good at it. That's just how I am. Um, so it's a lot of mixed emotions. I'll just say that much because you wake up every day nervous, excited, don't know where I'm going right now. I'm just in that kind of lost phase, which is fine. I'm 25 years old. I don't think anybody has life figured out 25.
Yeah.
Um, but I do at the same time have a lot to be grateful for. I just got a house in Austin, Texas, in a great state, surrounded by amazing people that I'm meeting on a daily basis. And from there, just in terms of who I am as a brand, I think each person is their own brand. You don't have to necessarily have a company attached to it. Like I said, each person you come in contact with, you're building a reputation for yourself. What are the characteristics that you want to um, to show people that when you meet them? Like, what are people gonna when they walk away from their first conversation with you? What are they gonna take from it? What type of person you are? I think that's really important to me. Is making sure every person I come in contact with that I have like the right characteristics and that they walk away feeling good about themselves and who they just came in contact with.
No, I mean, I think that's beautiful, and it. You sound like a really positive guy, man. I really appreciate you being on it. It even uplifts me, because it comes down to my next question here, and you kind of talked about personal brands doesn't have to be a business, it doesn't have to be like a corporation or anything, but personal brand is also, you know, being a professional athlete, like you said, it's a lot like having a business. You have a certain regiment, you have certain things, you're learning 80 different things at once. You're a personal brand. You could get cut at any time, things could happen. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. So with what you're trying to learn right now, and I know you haven't really picked a solid direction yet, um, what kind of attributes do you think athletes have in general when it comes to what you've learned in the sport that would make you a really good business owner?
I think it really just comes down to grit, work ethic, and having that relentless attitude. You know, because to reach the level that a lot of these guys reach, you can't get there just by going through the motions. Um, it's so competitive, right? Because if you don't compete, you lose you lose your job. Like and there's always another younger kid, younger, faster, stronger kid trying to come in after you. And that's really what business is. There's business it's competitive. It's super competitive, and you got to stay at it. You got to have that resilience in you because there's going to be a lot of people that say no to your ideas, and so you got to go back to the drawing boards and come back at it stronger the next time. And that's really a lot of characteristics that you learn in sports. You got to be resilient. There's a lot of injuries, things that you got to overcome, and things that things in the sport that you're introduced to at a younger age. Like football, I mean, I've been playing since I was younger. Adversity, I'm no stranger to it. I had to deal with it early in high school. Not everyone does. I had to deal with it early in high school. I had to deal with it again in college. Injuries, being let go in the pros, having expectations for how things were going to go each season, and them never being really fully reached every season. Um, that is really is business. It's really the workforce in general. The most competitive people and the people that are willing to keep going and have perseverance um, are the ones that are end up first in the race. They're the first ones to get the prize because they're willing to keep going. Um, and I think the most successful businesses that the people that have been the most successful, it didn't happen overnight. It's a
Yeah.
long process. Like we're I follow some business pages, but you talk about some of the most successful people and what they were doing when they were 24, 25 years old. I mean, I've heard stories on Steve Harvey where he had literally $700 in his bank account. He's down to his last, and now look at where he's at. Dwayne the Rock Johnson wasn't a famous actor. He tried to go the football route, wasn't successful with it. His mid-20s trying to figure things out. Now he's the highest paid actor in the world. But I think nowadays in social media we it's this toxic environment and where we're constantly comparing ourselves, and we see the best things about people's lives that a lot of the times aren't even real. To be honest, there's a fake aspect to it. But we're looking at these people that are 23 years old or 24 years old and how successful they are, or whatever, already all these, TikToker influencers or whatever. And we make the mistake of trying to compare our lives to theirs. When really, you know, I think instant gratification is the devil's work. Anything worth having in this life won't come easy to me.
I agree with you 100%.
And I don't think it's hard to be successful. I just think it takes patience.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people just aren't willing. They want they want to involve themselves in the get rich quick schemes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just not,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just, they try and cheat. They try to use cheat codes to get through life. At the end of the day, you want to be successful in life. It's not going to be something that comes quickly. It's going to be something you have to work at. And I think it just makes it that much more rewarding when you've had to go through the ups and downs and had to deal with years and years of struggle to ultimately reach your goals. I know that's what my feeling was when I reached the NFL. Uh, I didn't wake up, decide to play football, and have an opportunity in the NFL the next day. I had to go through the struggle in high school, contemplating quitting in college, contemplating transferring, all of that. When am I going to hang my cleats up? And I'm at it once again. I'm at it like a crossroads once again, where I'm thinking to myself, how much longer am I supposed to be doing this? But I'm not at a peace yet in hanging up the cleats. But going back to your original question, in terms of characteristics that are going to make people successful in the business world, that's ultimately what it boils down to is the resilience factor.
Resilience,
Um,
grit. I
trial and error, just how many times you're willing to go through it. And I think that ultimately just gives athletes an advantage. I think it's a big reason why student athletes are recommend, like, people want to hire student athletes. I know that people have been saying ever since I went to school at Wake that if you have an athletic background, there are just tools and skill sets that have grown, that you've grown through as you've gotten older, that a lot of people, they just haven't been acclimated to. They haven't had to deal with those adversities yet. And I don't know, to me, in my experience, what I've seen, um, I think it goes further than just sports. I think it dives into the business world and helps people ultimately become really successful.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with you. I mean, I see it day in and day out with my business, the grit, the days of depression, and then the days of being on highs, and the days of being on lows, and the days of just keep pushing. And I see so many even prospects that come to the door for me that they just don't have that mindset. And that tends to be, I think, the failing factor. It wasn't until I was making multiple six figures before I realized that mindset was a huge important factor in business. And so, well, why I was saying that is because you go through stages. You go through stages where you're like, all right, well, fake gurus don't do anything. You're right. They're not the fake gurus. And there's so much social media hype on making a million tomorrow, or putting it in this stock, or doing this. And
Yeah.
yes, there are people that do that. Yeah, and you see it in football too. There's people that have had it easy, and somehow made it to the top. And it's just natural life that it happens that way for some people. But in reality, that's like a 0.0001% amount of the population, 99.999% of us have to work hard to get where we want to go. And that strength and that determination, I think, is what helps us get there, and I think that you're right. I think that grit and that mindset is really, and it's great that you see that. With that said, you kind of mentioned a little bit there, but what are some of the struggles you see? Like, what are some of the struggles that you feel like you go through as an athlete that you're learning to try to overcome and get past as you kind of you're working through all this stuff right now?
I think one thing is I wouldn't say the word is connecting, but pro athletes have lived life through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough relating to people who probably assume that, you've had the greatest life ever. Everything's been great for you.
They assume you're that point. Oh, 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. And they just assume that you have no issues
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And I think that's one thing is that relating factor. I think one thing is going through kind of the period I am right now is that just looking at watching Sundays is hard. And moving on from something you've been doing your entire life is really hard to do. So I think for me right now, I'm not ready to fully commit to moving on because I know I can still play. I think I'm on an incline right now athletically. I think I'm in the best shape of my life, stronger, faster, bigger than I've ever been, and that my skill set could be used, or that there are teams out there that need my skill set. But I think once you have that piece that the game's over, at that point you can fully commit yourself to your next goals. And because if you're not going to fully commit yourself, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Not in a successful way. You might be an average businessman, be able to live, paycheck to paycheck. But yeah, I think connecting with other people and then also just having that full piece that you're done with the game, that you can move on from it, and that you found an avenue that you're going to enjoy just as much as you did playing ball. I know I talked to one of my teammates last week about that, and he said, "Yo, dude, I thought I was always going to get involved into coaching because I didn't think anything else would bring me the joy that football had other than coaching, and I was completely wrong." And I think finding that is and searching for that is probably one of the biggest tests. But once you get to that and you figure out what you really love to do, I think the commitment, committing to something and going for your goals, and at that point, fighting through the adversity is not something that's going to be the hard part. I think it's just finding first what you want to do.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that being a struggle because football's been your whole life, and I feel like most people go through that when they're 19, 20 years old and they're in college and they're like, oh, what do I do? And they do that. You guys have to wait a little bit because you go through that first, the whole football thing first, and so that transition can be a little bit harder. I mean, something I see in the career world all the time, and I have to tell my wife and other people is that you can find your dream career, but that doesn't mean it's your dream job. And it's very similar to what you're going through, and the fact of, hey, you're going to want to try different things, you're going to want to do different things. But once you find that thing, you'll find it and you'll be happy. It's just finding that thing, and even that great thing, like I tell my wife all the time, isn't going to be the greatest thing in the world because at the end of the day, you still have to make money off it.
There's always going to be some underlying part of the job that you weren't thinking about when you first, there's going to be issues and problems in every career field.
Yeah.
Each thing is its own unique. Every job's unique in itself, and it has its own issues. And so, like I said, NFL is no different. It's not like it has its own problems.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think once you get past that, just really finding out what you love to do and what brings you your most happiness. Because I think at the end of the day, you can be making all the money in the world, but if you have to wake up every day and do something that you don't really love doing, I don't really think that's worth it.
It's not, and I 100% agree with you. And so from what you're going through right now with, trying to really find your additional passions and things of that nature, I heard you mention a little bit about how you like to on social media, like to, kind of teach people a little bit about social media and stuff like that. So what's some of the advice that you could give other athletes in regards to building their brands?
Be relatable. I think that goes back to like the job and stuff. I think being able to relate to other people, have a contagious attitude, have a contagious personality. People are attracted to that. And so first doing that, I've been privileged enough to be surrounded by content creators and stuff like that were able to help me build my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's really just branching out and just, I mean, I think a lot of people are afraid of the word no. They're afraid of rejection.
Yeah.
And I'm no different. I hate rejection. I do.
Yeah.
But I've also kind of acclimated myself to and just gotten used to hearing the word no to the point where I don't really fear it anymore.
Yeah.
And so whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Like we talked about earlier, like you only control so much. You really don't really control much at all. But just what you do control is your effort. And so if I'm going to reach out to these companies, like I'm a Legends ambassador now. They're up and coming company in the athletic and lifestyle clothing world, but and they're making a lot of moves. But that all started because I reached out to them and said, "Hey, I love your brand. I rock it all the time. You can look at my posts. I wear your brand all the time. Like I would love to do business with you and love to continue representing your brand. Like I love everything that it stands for." And just by that, that's why I became Legends Ambassador, just because I asked the question. And then, I reached out to all these other brands that I like and that I want to represent. And I've had a lot of success doing that too. And that just literally just comes from asking.
Mm-hmm.
What at the worst, they just leave you on red. Like, all right, then you go on to the next thing. But yeah, well, I talk about, I mentioned earlier that, like building my platform and how I like to influence people, through what I've learned, the knowledge that I've accumulated and over the years, and my story. Like I said, it's unique, um, but I try to just motivate people because I've happened to come across the right people in my life and or whatever it was, videos. Inky Johnson, I watched him. He's a great motivator for me, inspiration for me. And I just try and be that for other people because it's a broken world. A lot of people are broken. Their spirits are broken. Um, and I mean, the suicide rate is higher than it's ever been. Um, I think there's a comparison aspect to that where people are, comparing each other and people are depressed. I mean, COVID didn't help that at all. I think, mental health has been a huge issue.
Yeah.
And I think me being, the place I was, professional athlete, people think I got everything together. People think the world is perfect for me. Like I'm no different. I struggle with that stuff too, and so just being able to relate to people on that level, um, and just being an outlet for people that people can talk to. I'm a pretty naturally vulnerable person. I'm very honest with what's going on in my life. I don't need to hide anything. I have nothing to hide. I fall short of perfection every single day. Um, but one thing I do is like I said earlier, I'm gonna give everything I got to whatever's in front of me, and I try and preach that to every person, because I think when we learn to control what we can control and dwell on only that, then I think it relieves us of that anxiety and those fears and those tensions. Um, because why am I going to fear something that I really don't have any control over? Like it's going to come, it's going to come. And at the end of the day, everything that I've ever been through, I'm still here. All right. Nothing's killing me yet. Everything I went through when I was 14, that test in middle school that I took, that I'm like, oh, if I fail this, then I might not, get the right GPA, and then I might not, it might lead over to high school, and then I might not get to the right college I want to go. Like all those different anxieties that we build up in our head, that are so false. You know, we the slippery slope in our minds that is completely false. Um, I just try and relieve that from everybody that I come into contact with, because it's stuff that I've learned over my life, that all those worries, all those anxieties, all those fears of everything, the greatest things in life are on the other side of fear. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you put your fear to the test and realize it's really not that huge in the big scheme of things, like you can overcome a lot. And like I said, I don't have, you know, I haven't written a book or anything. I don't know everything, but I have been through a lot and I'm learning as I go. But I just try to be an outlet for people, a relatable outlet for people, um, and just really just share as much joy as I can with everybody that I come in contact with, and make sure that on the other side of my conversations that, you know, we both come out as better people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
so
mean, what I took out of that is, just being yourself, like you're right. Like, I think you're perfect if you're not perfect. I mean, I think that that's what it comes down to, because I feel like, we all go through stuff every day. And I tell a lot of our clients that, um, you're allowed to talk about your failures. Everyone has failures. It's part of your story. And that's what
failures are your best moments.
yeah, they are, right?
Yeah, because your failures are you're in an uncomfortable area of your life. It's completely uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Extreme discomfort, and extreme discomfort is where you grow the most. No one grows like I've said it before, but I think comfort is the greatest threat to success.
I agree.
No one grows in the comfort zone, and I like to relate to working out, right? Like when you lift, a lot of people, you know, don't want to work out because it's not comfortable. Like
Yeah,
no one likes to get in a squat rack and sit in a squat rack for a minute. Like no one wants to do that.
I hate leg day, man.
That's not comfortable, you know? But that's how your muscles grow.
Yeah,
You know, they don't grow on the couch. They
yeah,
don't grow in the comfort zone. If you want your muscles to grow, you got to get in the gym and put yourself through stress and pain and discomfort.
yeah, yeah,
And and the more you do that, then the more growth you have. That's why I I advise, like I went across the country for college.
yeah,
I advise everybody to do it. I said, don't even be close to home. Be somewhere completely out of your comfort zone. And I'm doing that again. I moved to Texas. Like, was it completely in my comfort zone? Like, no, it's not. But at the end of the day, like, is everything perfect in my world right now? Like, no, but I know in 10 years that decision's going to pay off because I gave myself a huge advantage by throwing myself in uncomfortable situations so much that the next one's not going to really slow me down much. But if I'm constantly living in a comfort zone, if I live on the couch for a year, that first workout is going to be a big wake up call, right? And it might hinder me from ever wanting to work out ever again, and then I'll have absolutely no growth. You know
well,
what I'm saying?
and you know how it is too when you're going to the gym every day. It's like when you're doing certain things and you're challenging yourself, it becomes you ingrain it in your head, so it does become easier. I mean, we just moved houses, funny enough, ourselves. And I took almost a month off from the gym. I have a 2-year-old. My wife's pregnant. We moved to a different house, so I just didn't have time. I just didn't have time, and I hated it. And now that I'm going back, it's a struggle just to get back in there and just to push myself to get back into a routine. But like you said earlier, that's my way of handling my control. Is in business, just like football, there's a lot of stuff that's out of your control, and so you have to find your avenues, to help keep your mindset sane, and to hey, this is in my control, this is my routine, I know that this is what I can do, and I'm going to keep doing it. And it does,
Yeah.
it gives you that positive, the endorphins and the positive feedback on yourself, knowing, hey, no matter what, I could still do this. But I agree with you. I mean, business is no different. I mean, you have times of, you can settle. It's very easy to settle. I mean, I think 90% of the workforce settles. Nothing against them, but
90% of people fail I posted this on my story on Instagram the other day, but 90% of people fail at living their dreams. Like
mhm.
they don't reach it. And I think that comes down to goes back to you asking about athletes, the reasons why they get there is because they're willing to make the tough decisions and do the things no one else is willing to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the most successful people at the end of the day are going to go the furthest because they always take that road that's less traveled by. They take that more difficult road, and they end up in an area where few people have ever gone before because they decided to make all those hard decisions. They never went with what was trendy. They never went with the wave. They never went with what was easy. I was always a guy I was never interested in anything that was easy. So if everyone was doing it, I didn't want to do it because it was too easy. I wanted to, because I really was more impressed with things that were difficult. I looked at the Sports Center top 10 plays. I watched, Chad Ochocinco, LaDainian Tomlinson, LeBron James, Kobe, all the great athletes. And they were doing, I thought that was cool because they were doing things no one else could do. And so the things that were trendy, smoking, drinking, getting all the latest fashion, whatever. That
The
I'm like,
fast cars, the fast, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I could grab a cripple down the street and get her to drink a beer. Like it's not hard to do. Anybody can do it.
Uh,
And so I was like, if everybody could do that, that ain't cool. It's not cool enough
well,
for
and
me.
anyone can really get a credit card right now and go buy a $90,000 car too if they really wanted to.
You know what I mean?
Not everyone, but
Well,
most people.
some people are just handed that stuff
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
And that doesn't impress me either. I'm like, if you're just like I talked about earlier, everything worth having in this world is something that you had to work for. If you didn't have to work for it, it's not really that worth having.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've always tried to take the road less traveled by because I think that making that hard decision is the one that always pays off.
Well, and and you're in a very similar situation right now that I mean, not 100%, of course, but what I was in, 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, when I ended up going from the corporate world to owning my own business, was I was making a good salary. I was working in a very big company. All my coworkers, my bosses lived in a different state. So I worked 20 minutes away, 10 minutes, 5 minutes away from home. And so I could come home and basically whenever I wanted, and I was making pretty damn good money. And I was like, but I'm not satisfied. And it was like, do I settle or do I take a risk and open my own thing? And it was about a year's worth of decisions in my doubting myself. And yeah, sometimes it's just not the right time. But like you said, you're not ready yet. And it's just probably, it's just not the right time yet to give up on it. And, there's nothing against that either. And so like, there's nothing wrong with waiting to take some risks or to think about it a little bit either. But I would say you're 100% right in the fact of, when you settle, there's nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with settling. My wife tells me all the time that people, it's okay to settle. And I'm like, that's just don't bitch about it.
I think the other thing for me is like it's like to the point where my standards get almost too high, and I think everything else is set. Just because I have this idea of what I should have.
Yeah.
I always hold myself to the highest standards.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be around like right now, just trying to get a side job. Right, I want to work at the best restaurant. I don't want to work at, no offense, Chili's.
Yeah.
I want to work at the best restaurant. I want to work with the most professional people, high class, high standards. That's why I want to,
Mm-hmm.
and so like anything less than that is like, nah, you know what I'm saying? So is there a sense of pride aspect to that, I guess, too? Like, am I being a little bit too prideful? Am I not being realistic with myself? If I'm
I know. I mean, you're allowed to have your standards, and as long as you're not bitching
Yep.
about certain things, I mean, we go through in business, it's very similar. We only take on certain prospects. And like you said earlier, you're used to hearing no. Like we got to the point where we had to tell people no because, they just didn't fit our mindset, the mindset of the kind of clientele we want to work with, because people like you are very rare. So the people that don't have that mindset and that grit just don't really, like you said, are settling, and it's hard to achieve great results. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I'll play victim here that, I mean, I do sometimes still bitch about it, but, but at the end of that, I bitch it to myself. It comes back to that. I have high standards too. And I mean, I have high standards for my business. I have high standards for raising my kids. And because I've seen it, just like you said, I see where I want it to be. And I think the downfall to that is that you're us prideful people and us people that have that grit. We also have, like you said earlier, the high highs, but the low lows. You have the lows of, being like you're never happy, but you are at the same time, because that ups and downs is actually what makes you happy. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
is the challenge and the getting
Yeah.
there and stuff.
Well,
So
you're never going to get complacent.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's part of it's an athlete mentality. It's a competitive mentality.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I always want to. I only have so much life, right? A certain amount of time, right? Time is can't put a price on time. You can't get it back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
It's
make the
funny
most
you
of
say that too. It's funny you say that too, because when I'm talking to startup businesses or people that are still, at that point, or even athletes that are like, hey, I'm going out there, I'm looking to get, a sponsorship deal, or are doing this, and they're doing all the work themselves. I'm like, you shouldn't be working. Time shouldn't equal money for you. Money should equal time. Like, it's the same way in business, same place life. It's like, I think about everything that way. I'm like, if someone comes to my house and has to fix something and they don't fix it right, and I'm on the phone for 2 hours, I'm like, dude, you guys should owe me $500 right now, because you just wasted 2 hours of my life. Like, it's the same concept. I'd rather spend quality money towards having more time with my family and growing my business than making more money. It's just part of the game, you
Yeah.
know. But thanks for being on the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. We could probably talk about hours about grid, and I look forward to looking at more of your stuff online and possibly talking in the future. And why don't you tell everyone a little bit more where they can find you and how you can help athletes moving forward?
Yeah. My biggest, I guess I'm most prominent on Instagram, Alex_Bachman, Bachman. And then it's just Alex Bachman on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter as much. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm when football's all set, even in the off season, I'm going to get into coaching and providing my greatest knowledge is with receivers. But I'm also just trying to get involved in the next generation of young athletes, and because I think I'm not only trying to provide a way to improve your skills on the field, but I'm also trying to way to improve skills for you off the field, develop character, really develop young men. This next generation of young men is what I'm trying to do. I do think there's a sense of our generation losing a little bit losing a little bit of their masculinity, and I want to protect that. I want to protect the masculinity our nation has, and provide um, just provide knowledge for the next generation, so that these next guys coming up are guys that are going to be the same guys serving our country and protecting their families, and protecting the women and children of our country. And I want to make sure they're good role models for the generation after them, because um, I don't always think that the prominent figures in our society are the best role models. In fact, more times than not, I think the things on the news are negative. Um, show the negative parts of our supposed role models that are in our society, and I don't want to be a part of that trend. I want to be on the right part of history. So yeah, I know a lot about the game of football, and it's helped me in life, and so gonna try and share that with every kid that I have an opportunity to work with.
No, that's beautiful. And so what I'll do too is after the podcast, of course, I'll shout out all of your information as well, so people can find you. Again, thanks for being on, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for another episode of the Brand Power Analysis. Uh, this is Zach with Creative, where business is our sport.
Appreciate it.